Don't call it. Come back. What's going on, everybody? Live from YouTube land. Yeah, with me getting a little couple things together. Get this pulled up. What's going on, Martinez Game Dogs? Mean Cut Bullies, Kennel Dynasty. AQ Henry's Kennels. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Let some people roll up in here. What's going on, everybody? The Real Skip Jr. What up? Scrap Rebel, APBT Madness. What up? Student of the Life Dog Training. What up? Shit, what up? That name sounds familiar. We're going on Student for Life. Yeah, man. He was on 78 joints back in the day. Everything going, man. Another beautiful Thursday, y'all. Another beautiful Thursday. Forgive me for last week. Been extremely busy, but I'm gonna get these in. I can get these in for you guys. Bill Ford Tough Kennels, what's going on? Pack 4578981, what's going on? Greetings from NYC. Glad to see everybody back home checking in. What's going on in New York City, brothers? Brooklyn, stand up. You Pain, what's going on? Mean Cut Bullies, Kennels, yeah, got everybody. May have some people swinging, may not. I started this one a little late, y'all. I was thinking like 8, but I did 9, so I shit that I had to get done, so I wasn't kind of rushing. But I ain't gonna lie, this shit here is kind of brutal. I'm getting old. I be naps and shit. What's going on, Ivan? Uno Love, what's going on? That's my man right there. All the Sosa fans and stuff, he was able to raise that dog up to me. As an adolescent, I was able to get the dog back due to some circumstances, but appreciate that brother right there. That's a stand-up dude. Hopefully, you can find people like that in this game that, they always choose what's best for the dog. You know what I mean? And he made a great choice, and it helped me out in the long run. So shout out to Ivan. What's going on? Uno Love. One Love Game Dogs. What's going on? Impact Kennels, my brother. How you doing? We on the final countdown for your bitch. I mean, Rose Kennels, Behemoth Bloodline. What's going on? We cooking up today. We're gonna do a little bit of everything today. I didn't really have a whole laid out agenda today. Been dealing with a lot of stuff with the dogs. Um, start off with chains and chain setups. I use these little episodes because I'm not able to always get a lot of videos out. So I kind of do these episodes and series. Some of this stuff will be pre-planned stuff we're going to talk about. Some of this stuff will just be some of the stuff that I was dealing with over the last 2 weeks. Hopefully some can relate. Hopefully some won't be able to. But this is all about information being shared. Hopefully everybody in the chat can help each other out. I had a little mishap. Did not check chains. I had a chain go bad, had one cut loose. And, this is all part of owning this type of breed and dealing with this dog. I use my personal experience of just what happened to me. It's kind of a little bit of a catalyst for this episode for checking chain spots. I don't know if the chain is getting cheaper. I don't know if the dogs are just working harder, but it seemed like you used to be able to get about a good solid 2 years out of a good brand new chain spot. But it's starting to seem like those days are over. Um, main thing is trying to set up plans with these dogs as far as having dates and things set up for you to do annual things. You know, it's a lot easier for the brothers with the 1 and 2 dogs, the smaller yards and stuff. You got some guys with medium yards, but I kind of always gave myself a pat on the back for keeping up with stuff like that. And you know, a chain break is different than a collar slip. You know, a collar slip could happen. That's just like Russian roulette. You know, you're not out there one day a dog starts backing off the collar. He may have lost a little bit of weight. He slips a collar. But when you get a chain break, that's on you. You know what I mean? So I gotta eat that one. I gotta eat that one. And you know, something as simple as a $5 C-link or worn out cold shut can cost you hundreds of dollars in medicine and vet visits behind these accidents. So I always preach it. So I gotta stand up when I mess up on it. Unfortunately, nobody was lost. It wasn't that type of horrible situation. But these situations can easily be that. Hold on. I got a guest coming in. What's going on, my brother?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, brother. You sound clear too. You must be in a great
man.
Wi-Fi. I was just cooking up on
Yeah,
I was
I was on here. I was listening to you.
yeah, man. I had to share with the audience and stuff, man. I had a little mishap. You know, I wasn't paying attention to the chain tie out. You know, mostly everybody who's doing the traditional act. So I'm gonna go ahead and run through this real quick, Mr. PBC, and I'm gonna introduce you in, and we'll start cooking up. But you know, as far as the people that about the accident, you're gonna have components to a chain setup. You're gonna have your axle, you're gonna have your O-ring, you're gonna have your cold shut sealant, whatever you use to attach the chain to the O-ring around the axle. Then you're gonna run it into another C-link or another cold shut, your swivel, your O-ring, your bull snap, whatever you use to hook onto your collar. I screwed up on the C-link at the bottom of the swivel. You know, you got to pull stuff when you know, sometimes you get real, you start moving fast, you start doing stuff, and you know, months go by, and you know, you're looking at it, but you're not really looking at it. But getting a good habit of actually pulling the chain, looking at all of the components of the chain, because something may look like it's not worn, but worn in a section. And I just so happened put a real strong bitch on that chain. She wasn't always on that chain. This is how this occurred. I moved some dogs around and I put her on the chain, and she's a solid, strong bitch. And I put her on that chain, and I really didn't do my due diligence on it, and it cost me some money. So everybody keep up with your chain spots, do your due diligence in checking them. But this is my first guest on the Thompson'S Kennels podcast series. This is episode 3, and nothing special but the 38. And I'm here to introduce Pitbull City, as we know him in hood woods and in the streets, PBC. A good friend, a good mentor, good solid brother, taught me tons of knowledge in dogs. I mean, just having a keen eye, having patience, trying to identify traits in these dogs, locking in traits, acknowledging when things are working and when they're not working. You know, great brother. Like I said, introducing Pitbull City to episode 3. And you're my first guest, and I'm very glad you are my first guest, brother. How are you doing today on this Thursday night?
Thank you for the kind words, brother. I never did anything like this, but you are a good teacher. I'm just trying my wheels, man. You know, trying to come into the 2023, and you know, sometimes we have knowledge of things, and the younger crowd will bring us on into the new way of doing things, you know. And I'm glad I was able to help you get your yard started up, man. You amaze me all the time to sit and watch um, the things that you do. You know, even back when you had Cold Crush and Reba, man, it just watching you grow, man. You know, I don't have a son or anything like that to take over my, you know, dogs and stuff. So, you know, I try to surround myself with good brothers, that have a passion for these dogs. It's not just you know a weekend thing; it's a lifestyle. So
Oh,
listening to
he's
you,
already preaching.
hey, listening to you with the sit-ups. I'm gonna give you a little bit about sit-ups. Um, we are used to the Boyles dogs, and they're very intelligent dogs. But I tell you one thing: when I got those Red Boy Jocko dogs, that's a different kind of dog. Now, hey, I was used to just having one collar on the dog, but an old friend of mine's old dog man, he showed me how to keep the Red Boy Jockos on the chain, man. And what I did, you take two 1 inch, the 1 inch collars. You take two of those,
Yes, sir.
and you take one of those O-rings you was talking about. You put that O-ring through those two collars and make it snug. Now he might get one of them over his head when he backing out, but he won't get that other one. And let me tell you, that's the only thing I could keep Wolf Nilo from getting off the chain. Now you talk about an intelligent dog, a thinking dog. That was that dog. You know what I mean? If you thought you was coming up with a way to keep him in the pen, to keep him on a chain, you better be good. And if you have the Red Boy Jocko dogs and you got some smart ones, I'm pretty sure you can understand where I'm coming from. And they're going to put that chain to the test. If you got some soft metal, he'll be out of there in no time. They're going to work that chain. And, I
Oh
seen,
man.
uh, even when you came to the house a year or two ago and we were talking about the chain run, that chain run uh, takes the place of a slap mill and different things that I used to. And I didn't never have no slap mills or what you call it, flat mills or nothing like that. I always use that a chain run. And man, let me tell you that chain, like 100 foot or better. If they get on that thing, man, they can do some work. I had a
And
few
it's
of them. I had a few of them. You would have to take them off of there. You would leave them on there about a week. You would take them off.
but
But
your dogs, even with your dogs on the run, they were. It's funny you said that because they were almost conditioned to run it. They would run it like a slap mill. When I would come over to your property and see them on it, they would
right,
work it like it wasn't just a setup. It was like a lifestyle living on that run. They would run that thing
right,
like a
right.
slap mill.
But at the same time, you can you can move the chain around. You can have your small chain, then you can have a medium sized chain, then you can have a heavier chain. You can switch them out. And I've seen it work so well. It's all according to what you're trying to do with these chain spots and and chain runs and things of that sort. Um, it's starting to be now. It's got to be 10 feet for each chain, and the chain got to be light. It can't be heavy no more. But they get to the point now they don't want no dogs on the chain. So people in different states is finding out that you're gonna have to have a spot for your dog to live at. So it's a time of changing right now.
Can I ask you an honest question? Do you think it's for the good or better?
Um,
I mean, for
in
the
a way,
good or bad. My bad.
I don't think it's the best thing because um, these dogs are used to working all the time. So if you have too many of them, it's a catch 23. You got to come off of some of the dogs. It's not going to be a good thing to have a lot of dogs. Period.
Wow, wise words from a wise man. So checking numbers, people. Things are legal in your state, and we can also check our legislation for the area you live in. But at the same time, numbers do matter, and I've been trying to be more cognizant of that over the years because me, I do my breeds and I like to keep a lot of dogs and stuff. So you got
Well,
to be
well,
cognizant of your numbers.
it's all about the health of the animals. Dog food is going through the roof, medication gone through the roof. Like you saying, chain spots. Oh, you go to try to buy these parts and stuff that you need just for a chain, man, and they gone through the roof. I mean, anything that concerns the dogs nowadays seem like you're gonna spend more money than you ever had to spend.
Oh yeah, man, they be clapping at me when I come to the feed store. They be laughing and clapping like, "Oh boy, here he comes again."
Oh man.
I know I'm putting somebody's kids through college, other than
hey,
my own.
hey, 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 man. I, I believe they got my number on speed dial. Hey, hey.
She's get bad, boy. But we're gonna dig
Yeah.
into some stuff. We're gonna dig into some stuff since I got the OG on the line, man. Ram, I see you in the chat. Hold on, brother. I gotta cook with the OG first, and I'm gonna get you on in a second if we can get time. If not, I got an episode for you next week that's solely dedicated to you, bro. But I gotta cook with the OG for a minute. All right, a lot of people who's on listening to Mr. Pitbull City on the phone here, he is the breeder of Cookie. All of the Cookie fans out of there, double bred Manny dog. He had the privilege of owning Manny. He had the privilege of owning Nilo. Me and him did a hell of a breeding a couple of wow, it was more than a couple of years ago. We did the silly to the Nilo stuff. Um, Shout out to my brother and allowing me to do some of those breedings and acquire some of those dogs from him. We talk a lot on this channel about getting your foot in the door and being able to have people help you. This brother was a great help to me because everybody's not going to let you in the door and everybody's not going to deal with you. And without people, good, honest breeders selling these dogs and allowing young brothers to get their hands on them, it does die. You can have the greatest dogs in the world, but if you don't share them with the world, they're going to die with you. And I was privileged enough to acquire some really solid dogs from this brother here to help catapult my kennel to where it is today. So always show respect to the people who let you in the door and stay cool with who you came in the door with. And that's a great message that I can just tell. If they're not hurting you or compromising your kennel or compromising what you got going on, stay cool with who you came in the door with. We know a lot of relationships don't always work out with these dogs. I laugh all the time. We more ex-kennel partners than actual kennel partners nowadays. But stay cool with who you came in the door with. Now I got Mr. Pitbull City on the phone. We're gonna start talking about what dogs are you into. I know you mentioned the Boyle's dogs first. Even though I know a lot of these questions, we're just gonna share some of this stuff with the audience here. What are your primary bloodlines that you like to use on your yard,
Well,
other than the Boyles? We're
well,
gonna cook on the Boyles, but I want to catch everything. If you feel free, if you care to share.
well. I got a little bit of the Red Boy Jocko. I hang around some guys, and they Red Boy Jocko fans. So where I live at, it's not a shortage of the Red Boy Jocko at all. So if you ain't Red Boy Jocko, you ain't did nothing yet. So when I first started, I had the termite. I had my Rufus Chinaman stuff. And I started out with the old family red, man. Thanks to a guy named Mike Conley. He's an old dog man around here. We call him Red Dog Conley. And he had the old family red back in the day. And it was just so impressive the way them dogs were. They was dependable. They had wind for days. When they get on the job, they're not coming off the job. I mean, they just all around good dogs. And I was breeding some of the old family red and, cross it in a little bit with different things over here. And they got out to some guys. And DMX was over here in Wilmington shooting a movie. And one of his partners lived in Wilmington. And they must have been at the house and he seen the man's old family red dog that he got from me. He said, "Man, where in the world you got that dog from?" And he said, "I don't mess with nobody but Pitbull City." And around here where I live at, that was sort of like oh, Fred ain't got nothing over there. He ain't got nothing. But, you know, when they called me and said DMX wanted some dogs from me, man, it was like a joke. I didn't believe it. But when I went to
Wow.
Wilmington with some of the pups, and I didn't have no old family red at the time. I had some old gator dogs, little puppies, right? And DMX came off that big bus he was on, started walking towards me. I did like old Fred Sanford. Oh, I'm going. This is DMX said, oh no, it's real, dog. It's real. This real, dog. Uh,
Oh man.
I enjoyed that, man. He was telling me, he said he wanted to get the dogs. He said, how much you on the charge me? I said, you want these dogs? You want these dogs? You can have these dogs. And he said, I can have these dogs? I said, yeah, you can have these dogs. He said, man, what y'all do? Y'all take some pictures of us with the dogs and stuff like that. Man, I was stunned, man. I was like in a cloud for a little while. But when I got back to my hood,
Man.
I was a dog. Hear me? All the guys around up there said, I don't know, Fred might have something up there. And people started dealing with me, you know what I mean? And I got to tell this story because, like, I knew nothing about a Boyle's dog. And a few guys came up here with the Boyle's dogs that they had. They were coming from off the Chino blood. And one of my friends, Anthony Graham, he had some stuff that was Bobby Hall's Boyle's Cross. And, you know, that's how I seen the dogs back in the day. And they was impressive. And we started getting dogs like that. But everybody started crossing it to different things. And I had the old Eli blood, and that's where the cookie dog that you was talking about came from. Some old Eli blood that we had over here. And it was so impressive. The guy that had the Boyle's dog said, I don't breed the nook but Boyle's dogs. But he had to say, well, I don't know. I might have to breed to that Eli dog. And we did the breeding. And that's where Cold Crush came from. And you know, Cold Crush was just one of 7 or 8 of those puppies. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it ended up in your hands. And when I first saw your YouTube video, it impressed me because I'm gonna tell you, I never seen a video with somebody doing the things that you were doing. You were educating people about pit bulls. You know what I mean? And I know I got a passion for the dogs. You know, like the 78 Sports and all the guys that he have on there. I listen to them guys. I hear the passion that them guys have. It's real, man.
Shout
This
out
real. You know
78
what
in
I
the
mean? It ain't
shout
just
out 78 Sports in the chat. I told you you was
oh
reaching ears years ago.
man, come
Years
on.
ago, brother.
Yeah. That shake and bake, been shaking for a while. You know what I mean? I just enjoy being around good guys, man, and passing the torch one to another. You know what I mean? Somebody passed it to me, and you know, and if you take the word dog and put capital GOD,
D.
that's God, man. You keep him in the middle of all of it. You know, you keep him in the middle, man. And don't be selfish. Don't be on the other side. Treat your brother like you would want to be treated, you know? And I believe that's why me and you got such a strong relationship because at the beginning, you wanted to know about these crosses. And the crosses that I was putting with the Boyers dogs was working. And they still working.
Were they?
And they
Were
still
they? And they still
so
are.
you know, and a lot of times people don't want to give the just due. And you know, just like when I crossed the old family red to the Rufus Chinaman. Now, Tom Gorner, he he had the same dogs because we got them from the same place. Preston King. They was old friends, and when
Mm-hmm.
King got out of dogs, Garner got all of his dogs. But I took it and bred it to the old family red. Now, say like with Tom Gorner, he takes that Chinaman dog and he breeds it to anything he wants. And you know,
Anything.
we as dog man, we'll go get it. We're gonna try it out. But we don't talk about it. We're gonna try it out, good or bad. And the thing is, the dogs that we had, just like we had Ciroc. You know,
Oh yeah.
Anthony had Ciroc, but I had Hong Kong. So
Yes, sir.
I did different breeds than Anthony. You know what I mean? We were friends, but we also had different way of looking at things. Sometimes you have friends and they don't like a dog, and first thing they tell you, I don't like this and I don't like that. But you got to learn to be your own man. Be your own man,
Mm.
dogs. It's just like me and you. We at the beginning it was me, you, and Brown. And Brown is a
Yes,
whole
sir.
different character. And he's like
Shout out
a
to Brett
little brother.
Skittles.
Yeah, he like a little brother to me too. Cause y'all came at the same time, you know.
Yes, sir.
And look, I try to share with both of y'all the knowledge that I had about what I was seeing and what I knew about these dogs that we breeding today. You know, some people may not think they the best boys dogs in the world, but if it was their dogs, they would be able to say they got the best. I don't see no way in the world I'm gonna say I got second best. I'm gonna go in the world. I believe that. Hey, you know what
Oh
I
shit.
Hey, but hey, and I ain't talking about dogs back in the 70s. I ain't talking about dogs in the 80s. I'm not talking about dogs in the 90s. I'm talking about 2023. You know, a lot of people talk about the dogs of the past, but you better be trying to figure out what's going on now. Because the dogs of
Yes,
the
sir.
are the dogs that we get to see, that we get to enjoy. I mean, that's just facts. I mean, sometimes we pass our life worried about what somebody did in the past or worried about what somebody else is doing. But what are you doing? You know, I get out here in my
Mm.
yard every day, clean up behind my dogs every day. And Thompson, if you know me, which you do, you know how I keep my yard.
Yes, sir.
And I know
Yes,
how
sir.
you keep your yard because, hey, we cut out of some of the same cloth. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. If you ain't doing the work, it's hard to talk to me about it, man. I mean, if you ain't doing the work, your dog's on the show what you putting out there. Your dog's gonna
Mm.
be a mirror of what you are. They're gonna
Mr.
mirror who
Fred
you are.
is cooking. He's cooking, y'all. He's cooking. I hope y'all getting all of this information
I,
in from
I
this
mean,
OG.
I
He's
mean,
not
I
even charging you guys.
man,
Not even charging you guys.
I just feeling so good that I get a chance to do this because you know life is short. I don't know if I'm gonna be living tomorrow or the next day. You know, I told my wife we just coming from the restaurant. She said, try to get on there. I said, honey, I ain't never did this before. She said, try it, you'll get it. And you know, I can't believe I did it, man. I'm here,
Nah,
man.
man. And we here to give flowers. Hey, man. I don't do funerals. I give people their flowers while they're alive, man. This is your time to say whatever you need to say. Because, like I
Man,
said, I look at you as a mentor. So this is your time to cook, brother. But I do gotta ask you because we moving fast. I want to get into some of this stuff here. So we talked about the old family reds, the traits, the durability, the win, the nonstop work attitude. Ram had a question about how was the mouth on those dogs because you're still running this blood to this very day. You have not abandoned your old family red nosed dog. So you're still running it today. So how was the mouth on those dogs? Good,
well,
fair, so we can get that out the way, or extraordinary from what you've seen from a consistent standpoint over the family tree that you ran.
well, I'll put it like this. It's a different type of mouth than what you have with a Boyle's dog. A Boyle's dog, you have a lot of pressure. But some dogs, you got a lot of dogs that they bite, but they got a lot of what I would call damage with what they do. You know, but the thing is, the Rufus Chinaman dogs, they seem like they're more straightforward dogs, no nonsense dogs. They kind of like, uh, I believe the old family red gives it a brain as as me and Thompson talk about. Uh, the ones
A
that
little bit of thought.
yeah, the ones the way I've been breeding has a little bit more uh, durability to it. They're gonna be more. It's different than a boy's dog. But when
Night and day.
at the beginning, everybody would say, all Fred gonna do is breed these dogs to the boy's dog. Now, I've been breeding the boy's dogs for a long time, but one thing I didn't never try to do is breed my boy's dog to the old family red. Reason being, I was around guys that didn't like what I was doing with my old family red, so I bred it to the termite dogs. I bred it to the Eli dogs. I bred it to every bloodline but the Boyle's dogs.
I
And
know where you're going with this, but go ahead.
no. Ronald Boyle, he breeding with a guy named Mr. Lewis. Well, Mr. Lewis came to the house, and I had one that company, and he went to the barbershop, and I showed him some of my old pedigrees. And I made the comment, what do you think about this pedigree right here being bred to some of my Boyle's dogs? He said, you'll be stupid not to do that. When that man said that, like a light came on. Like, it can't be nothing but to try it. So I did. I did, because my dog Bam Bam, which I had Bam Bam for a while, and he was dying. He had cancer in the shoulder, and my old family red female came and I said, I'm gonna try it. So I did, and I'm still to this day, I'm just ecstatic what I see. I mean, it's it's sort of like the same kind of dog you would get if you breed a Boyle's dog to a Chinaman dog. It's no different.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I mean, we did the breeding with Manny to Ciroc, but
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna tell you something. The Manny Ciroc dogs, all right, they all right.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I just want to say they all right. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. They all right, but I don't know. Everybody got their pick of things they like and things they don't like. So I'm gonna stick with what I like. So
I threw the Alicia Freeman in there when I did with that last breeding I just did. I took the old Cold Crush blood with the Alicia Freeman stuff with the Preston King on and stuff. It came right back up front. You can see the durability and the size on the dogs.
Well, if you look at Alicia Freeman pedigree, a lot of people say, well, she got a little bit of old family red in there. All those is the show dogs. And people get stuck on these show dogs, man. I mean, what you think a show dog is? They breed dogs to make them a better dog. So if you got a show dog, you're going to take the cream of the crop and put them into a line. And, I've seen so many, big camps. They'll take dogs that they call the best of the best, and they breed their best like that. You know what I mean? But if you look into it, you'll see they put some even the Mims dogs. I mean, you can. A guy told me he would never take an old family red dog. I said, well, you better take all your Tombstone dogs and get them off your yard, because Tombstone is a whole quarter of old family red sitting right there. So, I don't know what to tell them. I mean, it's so many dogs that got it in there already, but you got people that want to downplay what's really going on. Those dogs was the original dogs that came to America right along with Kobe dogs. And the thing is, you want to keep dogs that show you American Pitbull Terrier. I have, over my many years, as Thompson'S Kennel would say, refined.
Refined, yes. Refined.
Refined what I got. And I'd be doggone if I'm gonna let somebody show me any different than what I seen, because I seen things that even close friends didn't see, even to this day, because they went a whole different way. They go away, and I'm gonna go away. That's how all of us are that have a dog. all of us that have these dogs that we're raising, we go different ways. But sometimes we get an opportunity to bring it together as a collabo. Now that's just like I had Wolf Nilo and you had the termite dogs. And I said, well, I'll do that for you. I'll do that for you. Now, what do you think? That was something that you wanted and something that you liked. You know what I'm saying? But me, I didn't keep none of it because that ain't with my, you know what I'm saying? Even though they might be
Yeah.
great dogs, man, but I'm not gonna say that's what I want to see. Old dog man told me, you breed what you want to feed. Now, all the dogs that I got at this moment is dogs, even though food is high, medicine is high, I got dogs that I want to feed. I don't mind cleaning up behind, and I don't mind going to buy what it takes to take care of them because it's something that I like and something that I want and something that I want to keep. So,
So a lot of the
that,
people in the chat, this is where I get this from. That was one of the most valuable lessons that I picked up from Fred over the years was feeding what you like. You can get into a cyclone with these dogs where you just got so many dogs coming at you and this is popular and everybody likes this and everybody likes that. It can get into a whirlwind where you can't find consistency because you just can't stick with something and ride it out. And that's a major component in these dogs that a lot of young guys get into, where you're bombarding yourself with pedigrees, you're bombarding yourself with dogs. But when you do find the dogs that you like, you need to sit down. Do not be pushed off of your pivot of what you like. Because at the end of the day, like Mr. Fred just explained to everybody, you gotta clean up after them dogs. You gotta feed them dogs. So anybody in the equation that needs to be happy, you should be the person that's happy.
wow.
So I hope that information kind of takes you to a good place with your dogs in the future. But we
It,
touched on the old family red.
it,
I gotta get into the boils with you too now. Go
wait,
ahead,
wait,
cook your
wait,
part, but I'm
wait,
gonna cook.
wait, before you leave, even if you talk about the macho butt dog, you know what I'm saying? They got to know a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of old family red in there. But the thing is, it's just having what you like. Some people get off on red nosed dogs. I used to do that too, you know what I'm saying? But a good dog is where you find them. And if you find
Mm.
some good stuff, and you know, it's gonna be something that you see in the dog that you would call, some people would call it a freak of nature, you know what I'm saying? Some people would call it uh hey, hey, at this point now, I've seen some great dogs, you know what I'm saying? And I know A. Graham Manning was one, and I thank Anthony Graham for allowing me to take care of that dog till he went on to glory. You know, he died a few months ago, but you know, I did all I could to try to take care of the dog for my brother. You know, when he got out of dogs, you know, and I had Lady Gaga, and so and Brown Kennels took care of Lady Gaga. So these dogs was around guys that was what I would say connoisseur of the line, and
Mm.
even like with you, I did that breeding to get Cookie because that was going to be my female. But
I know.
but listen,
Thank you
listen,
very much, Fred, on that
listen,
one.
listen. Just like when you came down with the Lady of Rage, I did that breeding just to get that female. The Tom said, "Oh no, I got to have that one right there." I said, "How you?" I said, go ahead, go ahead, man.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
is man.
sometimes you
The
got to
Cookie
be.
was the only dog off of that litter too. For every Cookie was the only female off of that litter. For everybody who don't know, just like Queen of Hearts was also, and she
But
was the
the
only
thing
brown
is,
dog off that
if
litter as well.
if you would have seen your face, man, it looked like I would have just took your cookies from you. You know what I'm saying? And I said, man, this guy is really on getting this pup right here. I said, well, just let him go on and rock out. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying, man. If you get around some of these good guys, man, that really got that passion and really like to be into these dogs, because you know the pit bull terriers, they already got a bad name. So you want to stay around guys that's gonna give you good input, man. I mean, good input. Not the kind that gonna get you behind bars. Not the kind that you're gonna be running with the wrong crew, if you want to call it a crew. But you know, uh, just be around guys that's gonna uplift you, man, and make you a better person altogether. You know, the dog's gonna take care of themselves. But if we don't treat one another right, don't worry about the dogs. The dogs ain't gonna be even in the equation. So I'm gonna let you go and cook like you want.
That's big facts there. Big facts. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight that again, man. You know, a lot of people get on me because I'm not preaching. I would I tell everybody like I would teach my kids. I'm not gonna advocate for anybody to do anything illegal. And like I said, I don't advise you to in today's climate. And like I said, you know, you are who you hang around with. You could be a good person and be fucking with some bad people. And things can happen. So birds of a feather flock together. If that's not your vibe, do you? You know what I mean? I mean, some people say it's less of us, and I say it's plenty of us. You know, less is better sometimes. You know what I mean? But as far as what we was cooking on before, I got to talk about the Boyles dogs with you. I know like so much to expand on, but let's just start off like this because I know that's your bread and butter as well is the Boyles dogs. I run some Boyles dogs, but I like a lot of the crosses that you originally made. And, you know, I still predicate my yard off of some of those, the old Eli stuff, the Bolio stuff, you know, the way I put my dogs together. But let's just start off with the traits of the Boyles dogs. Historically speaking, what are the traits of the Boyles dogs? So just for the audience to understand, we're just going to do a little brief course on some of the Boyles. There's been a lot of misconceptions on these dogs. So this is somebody who directly comes under Ronald, dogs directly from Ronald, breeding pretty much with the same philosophy and strategies and his own influence in the dogs as well. So let's start off with the traits of the Boyles dogs, Mr. Fred. Let's cook up. What do
Well,
the people need to know?
I got to give a shout out to Ronald Boyle because he's a good friend of mine. 75 years old. He just getting out of the dogs about a year ago. He got two dogs on the yard right now. He got Boston George, and he got 7 of 9. He might got about 1 or 2 pups or whatever that came off of that, but he does a little bit of stuff on the side every now and then. But if he do, I'll put it on my page, on the Facebook page and the Fred Davis. But I'm gonna say this about the Boyles dogs. We see different dogs with the Jeep line. I'm not gonna name all the different Jeep dogs. We see the different dogs in the Red Bull Jocko line. We don't have to go through each Burns and Tance and uh, Cruz, and we don't have to go through all that, but we know that there's different lines. Now, when we talk about the Boyles dogs, there's different lines in that just the same way. Now, we got characteristics in these Boyles dogs. When I used to go to Ronald's house uh, with one of my friends back in the day, and I used to just listen to Ronald because my dad used to tell me when the old man's speaking, you need to just shut your mouth and listen. So, I'm just taking in everything I can take in because he's really telling you how he been breeding these dogs for years, you know what I'm saying? And so I started getting a gist of what he was doing. So,
Mm.
when I come back home, I'm going to try some of this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because he has did it time and time again. But look, he don't have a bunch of dogs. I mean, he could do it with 10 dogs. He can do it with 7 dogs because the way he do it, he can recreate dogs of old. Me and Thompson used to talk about uh, who's driving the ship. If you got a dog that's on the top, like we would say Jazz Man, or we would say A Graham Matty, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? If it's a producing dog, it's gonna throw dogs that's more like the dog that you have, the father dog, you know. But Ronald told me
Yeah.
years ago that the females, a good female will bring you good males. And a good male will bring you good females. So at the same
Mm.
time, when we talk about these Boyle's dogs, you can have dogs that's coming down off of handicap. You can have dogs that's coming down off of Cherokee Chief. You can have dogs that's coming down off of Dirty Mary. You can have dogs that coming down off of Killian and Raptor and different dogs. It's all according to what you're looking for. Bloody Bill. I mean, and every time you change that top side up, you're gonna get a different kind of dog. We talking about different built, different look, different agility, different mouth, different the whole thing. That's the same thing with the whole family red. I mean, it's all according where these dogs at in the pedigree. Where a dog at in the
Mm.
pedigree matters. Some people say it don't matter, but it matters. That's why a lot of times when people try to breed a Boyle's dog, like they breed a Red Boy Jocko dog, it don't work. If they try to breed a Boyle's dog like they do the Jeep dogs, it don't work. If you try to breed a Boyle's dog like you do the Eli dog, it don't work. See, we've been taught that you breed the pit bulls across the board same way. But if it was that easy, all of us would have good dogs. But
Exactly.
we know that ain't no truth to that. Cause I done been around some guys that got Boyle's dogs. They were breeding them too tight, and had some garbage. And
Exactly.
they did that for 8-9 years, man. And if you do that for 8-9 years, you got a lot of money invested that you just pulled down the drain. You know what I mean? But it may not take nothing but one dog in the pedigree to change your whole yard. But at the same time, it can take one dog in that pedigree to make your dogs garbage too.
The impact of the one dog. We talked about this on several occasions. When you breed tight and introduce something new and you see the impact of it immediately because you had dogs tight and you know what those dogs were and the traits. And when you do that first cross out and you get that, what do they call it? That hybrid vigor, that word. Eli was the first one. Shout out to Eli, man. He was the first one I heard use that word, hybrid vigor. You get that explosion and stuff, and you can actually see the impact of just introducing one dog to the equation. That's why I was always so fearful of the scatter breeding, just from seeing that impact of introducing one dog. And you take the totality of that and you're constantly introducing new things and compounding them and new things and new things. It is so easy to get lost in these dogs because you can see that major impact from just one animal, good or bad, into the equation, especially when you already knew what you had. But on the Boyle's tip, everything that you're discussing there's a formula to this. There's a
Yes,
formula in each family tree.
yes, it is. And the thing is, it ain't just, well, I'm gonna take the Dirty Mary dogs and put all handicapped dogs together. Now, you can't do that neither, because if you put the handicapped dogs together too close in a pair, you're gonna have some garbage because it don't. Now that if you stuff in it to make it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just did a breed not too long ago because I had Bam Bam, which Bam Bam come off of Red Rum's brother. His name was Abdullah. And Abdullah
Abdullah the Butcher.
was a different kind of dog than Red Rum. I seen both of them. And Abdullah was more calm and reserved. But at the same time, he was a good dog at the same time. Now, just because a dog ain't in your face and acting crazy and wild all the time. That don't make him at the end of the chain showing all his teeth and rah. That don't make a dog a good dog. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Red Rum, he was just a dog that be at the end of the chain. He moving all the time, but he was a producing dog. He was a producing dog. Now you take Abdullah, he wasn't bred up but one time, and that was to my dog, Lady Gaga. That was it. He died at a young age from a train accident. From a train accident. Who would know that we would be talking about that tonight? And look,
exactly.
And look, not only did Abdullah die that day, another great dog died that day, and that was what's the name? Mad Frankenstein. They died that day from a chain accident. I mean, but you know, that's information that I know. I might be doing something that I shouldn't be doing, or saying I might get.
No, you could. You
know,
this is history.
So please forgive me if I'm in the wrong.
No.
Them dogs. Well, listen, them dogs been dead over 10, 12 years ago, man. Come on, man. We ain't talking
exactly. We like I said, when we're talking about these dogs on this channel, we've already come to the I gotta do give a minute to the uninformed Fred that you brought it up. Yeah. These dogs are animal aggressive. This is why you never see people with true game dogs or American Pitbull working breed and seeing a pack of them, 9, 10 of them running around freely. That's not the reality of these dogs. These dogs have to be tethered. These dogs have to be tethered. They have to be separated. And the reason why is because when they get loose, you have accidents and you lose dogs. We've all lost dogs. You know, this is the first time I'm going to speak about it, but I lost my Mega Man dog. Everybody, that was a Cookie son. The only one off the litter. You know, he backed out of a collar. This happened months ago, but you know, he was killed in a kennel accident. And you know, it's the first time I brought that up, but this is the reality and honesty. And you know, this leads into a lot of things of why people do certain things. You know, we have a lot of critics on why that you shouldn't breed this dog and you gotta wait to do this. Some of these dogs don't have a long shelf life. I constantly say this. Well, you can have in your brain You can have in your brain, I'll be out here at sunset and he'll be 10 years old and we'll be standing out here on the top of the mountain. But the story really ends that way.
No, it don't work like that all the time. It definitely
you can't tell certain people what to do because people who raise these dogs know how things are. You're one C-link, one bent O-ring, one damaged chain link from something happening. You know what I mean? You're one kennel latch. Because everybody thinks the kennels are so much safer. I've had more accidents with the kennels. You're one latch. One day, that dog decides to say, oh, I found a crack to climb up the top of this. Hey. Or you're at work and they chew a hole or break a piece of the wiring off and they can squeeze through or even more horribly, stick their head through it and get stuck and kill themselves. You know what I mean? The reality of these dogs. They're not play dogs. They're not for everybody. So I hope that 1 minute kind of got everybody back and they see, like, what are these guys talking about? This is the American Pitbull Terrier for the people who don't know. You can go ahead, Fred.
Yeah. I seen dogs on my yard. They'll go around, especially ones off of Bam Bam and Bam Bam himself. He'll open up everybody's cage. If you don't have a lock on that cage, and you better
I remember you told me about that.
You better not forget it. And you know, everybody that comes to my yard, they are amazed that my dogs are in 4-foot cages and they don't jump out. And Thompson said, well, how you do that? But it's all genetics, man. Many don't jump out. You know what I'm saying? And I was breeding dogs like Lady Gaga and those dogs. They didn't do things like that. They didn't climb out of cages. They listened. They were smart. I mean, but every time I would do a little bit of adding this or add that to it, that's when I get my trouble.
Oh, yeah. I live in it now. You know, I had Hustle Man. That was the most retarded, insane motherfucker you could ever imagine housing, you know? And he died at an early age, and people ask me about that dog all the time. But people don't know what I had to do to keep that dog alive. They really don't.
No,
You really don't.
no,
You really don't.
and
Some of them
then
are born with a death wish.
man, man, you got to say it, brother. And you know, some people look at pedigrees all the time, and they figure the pedigree, the better the pedigree, the better the dog. But that might not be true all the time. Now, sometimes you may have what they call a freak of nature, and that happens. But a lot of the times, that don't work like that. Now, if you have dogs like I was saying, the ones that were coming off of Manny, and ones that was coming off of Bam Bam, they still to this day, I have a group of those dogs. I can put them in a cage. I don't have to worry about them jumping out. Now,
and
when I
just
did
and
the big dog,
just to highlight, I added Hustle Man to that stuff,
man,
and
hustle, man, now,
I can't sleep
woo,
at night. I can't sleep at night because I'm worried about how the fuck this dog is gonna get loose or what
but
it's gonna do.
hey, 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 let me tell you, they bred Manny to Boots first, right? Before
Oh yeah.
uh, the Boots was the mother to Sheba, and Sheba
Yep.
Sheba came off of McDuff the Boots. Now, a lot of people don't understand or don't even know that just McDuff made those dogs a totally different animal. Just
Totally
McDuff,
different.
McDuff bred to Sin City dogs. Those Jeff. So Sheba, when we Manny, dogs was all right. A lot of people didn't keep him. I even had one. He was a brindle, but his eyes was glowing all the time. He would fight crazy. I mean, he couldn't see nothing, but you know,
You
he
said his
wanted
eyes was glowing all the time.
that glowing like this dog was out of his mind, brother. I mean, he just.
I know. I wouldn't pet that
I
motherfucker.
mean, so like when you got Hustle Man. Hustle Man wasn't the only dog that was like Hustle Man was. You feel me? It was 8 of those
Yeah,
dogs.
man.
It was 8 of them dogs,
Brutal.
and every last one of those dogs out of that litter was impressed. It wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
Hustle Man; it was the whole litter. You see what
McDuff
I'm saying?
changed
But
that party, boy.
but I had everything to do with that breeding going on because my friend had Bad Frank at the time, and Bad Frank, he asked me, Fred, if it was your choice, would you breed the Manny or Bad Frank? And at the time, I knew what Manny was, you know what I mean? And Bad Frank,
Mm-hmm.
we was just really getting that dog. So
Mm.
I had to go with what I knew, you know what I mean? So I told the man to breed Sheba to Manny, which the guy never had a chance to breed Bad Frank to Sheba. But that's what he wanted to do. But
I
like,
would have been interested to see what that would have thrown too. But just
man,
like I want to
man,
highlight episode 2 when I was talking
man,
about when somebody brought Hustle Man up. When I said it was a collaboration of 3 people, this is what
yeah,
I was talking about
yeah,
in the creation of that dog.
yeah,
It was a
yeah,
collaboration of 3 people to create a Hustle Man.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Fred.
But I tell you, as time went, and we got to see the evolution of like with Manny, he was being bred to everything but the kitchen sink, man. Now that's just the
Mm-hmm.
way he was breeding that dog, different things, producing stuff with each litter. With each litter. It don't matter what he was bred to. He did that.
And rest in peace, Manny. Because I want to highlight something that you brought up about that dog. Like you said, he was bred to everything but the kitchen sink, and he was throwing a high number of good dogs. Also, what people fail to realize with that dog is the way he can be stacked and doubled in a pedigree, and the
Wow.
dogs wasn't
Wow.
falling off.
Wow. You said something. Now, that's the point that when we say boiled dog, they did that with Queen Heart, right?
Yeah.
When she won all those matches and stuff, the people that own Queen of Heart, they start tightening that blood up because they want to. Even if you look at rest in peace, Gino, Gino, good brother, you know what I mean? And
yes, sir.
hey, he put that Abraham Bull tight in there, you feel me? But the thing is, he's able to reproduce himself up close, and you lose nothing. Now, some dogs you put up close, you lose. Now, Barry Frank,
Shout out Kendrick Kennels. Go ahead, Fred. I didn't mean to cut you off. Shout out Kendrick Kennels.
You couldn't put Barry Frank dogs up close together like that, like you do with Manny dogs. You can't put handicapped dogs up close like that. You know what I'm saying? There's certain dogs you just can't do it. I mean, it don't work out good. You know what I mean? So,
and this adds to that conversation of a producer, how that dog can be bred. Some dogs produce just one way. I don't consider those dogs great producers. Dogs that can be bred several different ways, stacked in pedigree. There's layers to this stuff. Go ahead, Fred.
But I was being what you call it. I inbred and a dog named Tilo, and she was a great dog for me. And she had a brother. His name was Buckwheat, and he was around for a little while, and somebody, borrowed him and never bought him back. But thing is, a lot of people don't understand that when I inbred Manny to Lady Gaga, you're gonna pull more from Black Reggie. So a lot of people that didn't know what Black Reggie was bringing to the table just didn't see that part of my breedings because they said, well, he's making a pretty pedigree. But at the same time, it was tight, but I didn't lose. Even to this day, I got dogs that better than the dogs that I started off with. So at the end of the day, if you look at dogs and you're not getting better dogs, what are you doing it for? Because I know when I got into dogs, it was to make a better dog than the dogs I had before. So if you talk to people of the past feel like they had the best of the best. So people here in 2023, you got to have that same mentality, the same way of thinking that you're going to make something better than the dogs of the past. And I believe the dogs that, I put it like, Manny's dead now. So now it's time to see the smoke.
Oh, yeah, we're going to see the smoke.
It might take a few years, you know what I'm saying? But, like some people say, well, Manny died and that blood died with Manny. But we're going about to see.
Hold on one quick second. I got a shout out Starting From Scratch Global. I am a huge fan of your channel, brother, man. Keep doing what you do, man. You got like a nice little thing going there, man. Appreciate you swinging through the chat, man. Well, yeah, man, we're going to see because, like, that's why I never got into the frozen semen and stuff. A lot of people, that gets brought up a lot, with the frozen semen. And I'm not knocking anybody for doing it. This is my humble opinion. When a dog is just like the sun rising and setting. If he was that good, when he's gone, he should have a legacy behind him on the ground to carry on his name forward. And I'm approaching that whole situation like Manny, Hustle Man. Hustle Man was the son of Manny. Manny was the son of Black Reggie. You know what I mean? These dogs should have enough left on the ground if they pass. If we're going to say they're good dogs, great dogs, however you want to word it, that should be the key. I approach the game from a breeding standpoint, so my mind is always on production. Production gets performance. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to lock those things in. But something else you touched on as far as the Boyle's dogs. What do you feel is the biggest misconception in 2023 about those dogs, if you have a humble opinion?
Well, I I know that there's different ways that we look at, well, not only just the Bulls dogs, but we look at the American Pitbull Terrier uh, in a way that we got to give those dogs they just do, man. Uh, if we don't, it's going to be something that you read in the history books. So if I had something that I would like to say to the dog world or the dog public, you got guys that come a dime a dozen. How much is the dog? How much is the dog? Uh, they say now and say, uh, did you look at the dog? Did you look at the dog? You know, we know that these dogs now, it's illegal to do things with these dogs. So you got to come up with a way to get good dogs without getting into a great conversation about these dogs being mistreated.
Exactly.
Now,
The way you're approaching it is like I see where you're coming from with it.
I,
You
I'm
know,
going. I like what I have, but I'm a married man with grandkids, so they don't care nothing about that. You understand? They'll get rid of you, even though all that's going on. But at the same time, you if you got a passion for these dogs, do it in a respectable way. That's the only reason I came on your chat, because Thompson Kennels, I think the world of you and your wife and your family. I love where you came from, and I love what you're doing. And I know you're going to do greater things than I probably could ever imagine. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to be a part of the process. Now, at the same time, you doing what you're doing over there, I'm trying to take some of what we have done and make it the best that I can with the knowledge that I was passed on. I have so many guys around me that help. Michael Graham, he's my big brother, just like
shout out to the other Graham. Shout out to the other Graham.
and I got to talk about my Reverend Troy. And Reverend Troy, that's Uncle Troy, that's old man Troy. I mean, he's just a good brother. He used to sit on the floor with me, and before I even knew how to go on pass online, he would spread all the pedigrees out, the Palatine dogs and all the dogs, and he would sit down on the floor with me, and hey, we'd be there for hours, you know what I mean? But I tell you
Yeah.
one thing, not only just on paper, but to see these dogs in the flesh and to see the difference in each and every bloodline. A lot of people don't really understand with American Pit Bull Terriers how many different bloodlines are out there. And when we say Boyle's dogs, if you start looking into the Boyle's dogs, you'll see a little bit of this being added, a little bit of that. I didn't know that it had Cotton Bullet in there. I didn't know that it had a little bit of Jeep Rascal in there. I didn't know it had a little bit of Virgil blood in there. And Virgil dogs got whole family red too, right? With, any other.
Well, you pushing the whole family red, boy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But at the same time, man, look, do what you like. Because if you don't do what you like, you're going to be regretting it. You're going to be sitting back wondering, Hammond's dogs, Tador dogs, you know, it just, Hansel's, I mean, Lightner dogs. I mean, whatever you like. Just enjoy your dogs, man. I mean, if nobody ain't never seen it like that before, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. If they don't like that, don't worry about it. You don't have to feed this. But I'm gonna take care of it. And I'm gonna see for myself. And once I see for myself, we'll take care of it when I get there. But don't worry about how I'm gonna do it. Because I'm gonna do mine.
Boy, I ain't gonna. Boy, I'm gonna sit here and honestly say, man, well, we've been rolling for about an hour, over an hour, but I promise this wasn't gonna go crazy. But I asked my mentor to come on here, man. Brother, you have made this show a very enlightening thing today, my brother. I want to say it yet again. I appreciate you coming through. I appreciate you with the wealth of knowledge you spread to the young brothers that was listening to you tonight. You know, I hope you guys, you know, take heed to a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? And I just got to say thank you again. Also, you want to shout out your Facebook or anything, you know, the people can follow you on, or, you know, I know you're getting kind of high tech on me, man. You changing on me, man. I heard you got Facebook and all kind of stuff out here, man.
I'm not that high tech, but if you want to follow me on Facebook, it's Fred Davis. Fred Davis on Facebook. And if I see you on there, I'll show enough I'll bring you on. You know, I listen to Mr. Garcia and Bach and them guys, man, and I hear the passion through them guys, and you know, I'm not trying to be like nobody else, you know what I'm saying? But look, I got my time to shine tonight, and hey, if I don't never get to do it again, hey, I enjoyed this, Thompson, and I thank you for the opportunity to be able to do this this evening. And hey, man, I wouldn't have never thought that, but hey, I just enjoyed it, man. Hey, I know I'm gonna be on the high for a couple hours trying to come back down, but I appreciate.
When I get off, I'm gonna send you the link so you can post it on your Facebook page. I want to say yet again, man, I want to appreciate Mr. Fred Davis with Pitbull City, as we know him in Hood Woods and on the streets, is PBC. Wealth of knowledge, and like I said, brother, man, you have a blessed one. And it was something else. I can't think of it now. I'm trying to make sure I got we cooked on everything we need to cook on. I still ain't come up with a good exit outro or something. So I'm gonna let you I'll let you end it in this podcast, man. Whatever you got to say, man. It's too legit to quit. Whatever you got going on, you know you're an old timer, man. Whatever y'all gotta say nowadays.
Hey, you know I love old school music. So I gotta come up with a good one for you, Thompson. And the only thing that comes to my mind right now is ain't no stopping us now, brother.
Oh wow, that was gangster. I like that word. We're gonna end it on that note, man. Everybody have a blessed one. Y'all enjoy your dogs. Stay safe out here. And we gotta end with this disclaimer: no dogs sold, bred, trained, advertised for any illegal purposes. Y'all have a blessed one. Good night.
Good night.